prototype. And
Hi
the
leaders,
concept
happy
we have
morning.
is
Welcome to Morley
your
Direct Selling
first
YouTube
concept is
ఛానల్.
almost
Morley
never right.
Direct Selling
So
యూట్యూబ్ ఛానల్కి
you're
స్వాగతం.
almost
ఈరోజు
essential.
మన
You
కంపెనీ
almost
లాంచ్
know that you're going
చేసినటువంటి
to fail at
కిడ్స్
some
ప్లస్
point,
కాల్షియం అనే
and your
ప్రోడక్ట్
first
గురించి
concept is
మనం
likely to
డిస్కస్
fail. So
చేసుకోబోతున్నాము.
you know you're
ఈ
going to fail.
కిడ్స్
So
ప్లస్ కాల్షియం అంటే
don't
ఏంటి
fail.
అనే దాని గురించి మనం
Don't put a ton of
తెలుసుకున్నాము.
effort into
ఇంతవరకు
failing.
మనకు బయట
So
మార్కెట్లో
fail
కాల్షియం
fast
అనేది
and
దొరుకుతుంది.
fail
చాలా
cheap.
మంది బోన్ సిస్టమ్
And what
కోసం
that means
కాల్షియం
to us is
వాడుతున్నారు.
take your idea
మనకు
and
అదే
test
మన
it
కంపెనీలో ఫస్ట్
as
స్టార్టింగ్ లో
small
మనకు
as
ఓన్లీ
possible
కాల్షియం వచ్చింది. తర్వాత
and make
కాల్షియం
sure
వరకు
it
తీసుకుంటే
works
మనకు
for you.
ఎముకలకు
So
అబ్జర్వేషన్
if
కావు
you're going
కాబట్టి
to start down
కాల్షియం,
the path
మాగ్నీషియం,
of
జింక్,
project-based
విటమిన్
learning,
డితో మనకు
don't
రావడం
go in
జరిగింది.
with,
దాన్నే మనము కాల్మాగ్ డిగా కూడా
grandiose
వాడడం
plans on day
జరిగింది.
one. Go in
ప్రజెంట్
with a
ఇప్పుడు
small
మనకు
plan.
దాన్ని
I'm going to do a
రెవల్యూషన్
small
చేసుకుంటూ
project, a small
ఒక కొత్త
concept. I want
కాంబినేషన్
to
తో
teach
మనకు
this concept,
కిడ్స్
and we're
ప్లస్
going to use
కాల్షియం అనేది
this small
తీసుకురావడం
project to
జరిగింది.
do it.
ఇక్కడ మనకు
And you will
కిడ్
learn
ప్లస్
a lot of
కాల్షియంలో
skills on your own,
కాల్షియం,
and your students
మాగ్నీషియం,
will learn
జింక్,
in doing
విటమిన్
that.
K2
And then you
7
can now come
అండ్
back with a
విటమిన్
slightly
D3 అంటే
larger
ఇక్కడ
one,
మనకు
and you can
ఎక్స్ట్రాగా
build that way.
విటమిన్ K2
It
7
is
అనేది
it
యాడ్
is
అవ్వడం జరిగింది. అదే
very
కాకుండా
difficult
ఇంతవరకు
to go
మనకు
from not
కాల్షియం
doing
టాబ్లెట్ ఫామ్ లో
projects
దొరికేది.
or project-based
ప్రజెంట్
learning
మనకి
to
ఇప్పుడు
jumping
చూబుల్
right in full scale
టాబ్లెట్
and
ఫామ్
get
లో
it
అంటే
right the first
సప్పరించే
time. And
విధంగా మనకు చాలా
if you get a
మంచి
massive effort
కాంబినేషన్ మనకు
wrong,
తీసుకొని రావడం జరిగింది.
both the
ఇక్కడ మనకు
instructor and the
ఎంత
students don't
ఏమేమి
benefit from
ఉంటుందంటే
that. So
ఇక్కడ మనకు
if
కాల్షియం
you're
వచ్చేసి
teaching well
ఓరల్
now,
కాల్షియం అనేది
just start
దొరుకుతుంది.
bringing
ఇది
small
వచ్చేసి
things in
487 ఎంజీ ఉంటుంది.
and
అదేవిధంగా
learning from
మాగ్నీషియం
them.
12
And
ఎంజీ ఉంటుంది. జింక్
in a year's time,
0.573
you'll be an
ఉంటుంది.
expert at it,
విటమిన్
and
K2
you'll be able
7
to build
వచ్చేసి మనకు
more and more
50
advanced
ఎంసీజీ
type
ఉంటుంది.
projects that you
అదేవిధంగా
can bring in. So
విటమిన్
the first
D3
advice is start small.
600 IU ఉంటుంది. ఇది
And the
మనకు
second advice
మన
is
కాల్షియంలో
to
మన కిడ్ ప్లస్
work with what
కాల్షియంలో
you
దొరికే
have. You can
ఇంగ్రీడియంట్స్
ask your
ఎంత మోతాదు
administration,
అనేది.
ask
మనకు
your
కాల్షియం దేనికి
faculty
ఇంపార్టెంట్ అని
for
తీసుకుంటే
money to
మనకు
do things, but I
హ్యూమన్
would
బాడీకి
say
ఎముకలు
that you
పెరగడం
start
కోసం
small. We are very
సిగ్నల్స్,
lucky to
నర్వ్
have a
సిస్టమ్స్
very
సిగ్నల్స్,
very
బ్లడ్ లో
full
వచ్చే
featured
ఫ్లాట్స్ రాకుండా ఉండడం
space
కోసం
here where we
మనకు
can
కాల్షియం
prototype all
అనేది
sorts of things.
అవసరం అవుతుంది.
Right.
అదేవిధంగా
And a
మనకు
lot of people
ఇంకా మనకు కాల్షియం గురించి
and a lot of institutions think that
ఇమేజెస్
this is
చాలా
where
బాగా
you have
అర్థమవుతాయి.
to go.
బోన్స్
And this is great, and we can do a lot of
డెవలప్మెంట్ కోసం
education
మనము
in a space like this.
వాడతాము. అదేవిధంగా
But
కాల్షియం తక్కువైతే
if
బ్లడ్స్
we
అనేది
didn't have
బ్లడ్
these
ఒక
resources, the goal is not to start by shooting for the moon. It's to just start. Right? So if you can't get, $100,000 to buy a big milling machine, you're much better off with $5,000 and buying, a few 3D printers and a laser cutter and starting something than waiting for all of that money to do something big. So I would say start small and just start. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take, right? So start. That's the goal. Start small, start easy, and then build, step by step.
Yeah, and maybe if you're a student, I just think about the many students I've talked to, and some are at universities where kind of the standard education is almost all theory, and maybe the only project they do as part of their education is a capstone project.
Okay.
If that's even there. And so just thinking about, but almost every university has some maker, machine shop or fabrication resources of some sort, even if it is small. And so from the student side, like, hey, even if it's not part of what you're being asked to do through your standard education, look for opportunities to do these things as well, even if they're not given to you. Like, look to build and apply these things and build some projects, get together with some friends and decide on something you want to build and go do it, because that's going to solidify and expand your educational experience so much more than just the calculations you're going to run in class.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. Yeah, and just to find those extracurricular things to do, or to even start them on your own, is critical if you don't have it, right? And I can give the same advice to those students. If your university doesn't have a massive prototyping space or a massive project space, the best thing is to start small. If you go to your administration and ask for the moon, you're not going to get it on day one, right? But if you ask for something small and you show that you're doing something good with it, the likelihood is you'll get attention, and they will see that you're doing something good with it, and then you'll get more resources. So and then these clubs that exist on campus usually get some resources from the student senate or the student activities council, things like that. And sometimes starting one of those clubs can get you some funds, and then you can use that. And there's opportunity there. You just need the desire and to start.
Yeah, and that's a great point. Like, whether it's clubs or other things, like sometimes I've been involved in things like business plan competitions and other things. So you can find a target, something you want to move towards, even that's outside of the normal educational class, which is great to include that in the classes, but hey, there's always other things, extra projects, competitions, other things that are nationwide, worldwide in some cases, that you can get involved in and shoot towards and build these projects, and finding those opportunities to do that. I imagine, I mean, you run a large academic makerspace, but do you ever collaborate, sometimes there are other like local community makerspaces and stuff like that. Do you ever interact with some of those spaces or talk to them?
Yeah, we do. And before we built this space, we went and visited many commercial and academic makerspaces in the country. And we're in Newark, New Jersey, so there are a couple little spaces in the city here. And then in the cities surrounding us, we're very close to New York and not too far from Philadelphia, and there are some really nice maker spaces in those cities as well. And then if you're, depends on what you're looking for, but there are maker clubs in a lot of the high schools and local municipalities in the area. And so we typically try to support them the best we can. But we have capabilities that they just don't have, right? So we will help them with things that they can't. So what you'll see is the semester is just kind of falling off here. We're just about through finals. And but high schools are still going for another 2 months. And their competitions, like the high school robotics clubs and things like that, they're all coming up in the next couple weeks. And so they're all scrambling to build that stuff. And so what typically we see is in the next few weeks, we start getting tons of emails from high schools. Hey, we need to water jet this part. We need to do this. We need to do that. We don't have it. And so we end up doing a lot of outreach with those kind of clubs in the area here. And so it does form a nice it forms a nice kind of network of different education levels and different communities that come and work together.
Yeah, and that's very cool, and that helps fuel the university education programs. Some of those high school students come into the makerspace and like, wow, this is awesome. This is where I want to come and do my projects in the future as well. That gets them excited, I imagine, as well. Plus, just supporting these educational experiences, no matter who they are, whether they're part of the university ecosystem or not, which is
I mean, that's our goal. We're a university, but our goal is education, right? It's not to operate this place; it's to educate people. So and to help build careers and build paths for people. And it sounds kind of corny, but it's to change lives, right? We have a lot of first generation students. They're the first student in their family to go to college, and so. It really, getting a good quality, affordable engineering education is a world changer for many people. So that's our goal, and to do it the best we can.
Okay, very good. As we wrap up this main segment of the episode, any final pieces of advice you would give to students or educators in terms of PBL and project-based learning?
I mean, I'm a little biased because it's what we do here, but for me, I couldn't overstate the value that can be added by participating in these kind of learning activities. Everything from building friendships to building skills to helping your academics. It's funny. You see these teams. We have a lot of these extracurricular teams, and you'll see them in spaces like our makerspace building things, and then there's a couple points in the year where it's like midterm and exam season, and so normally you see them in here with their hands dirty and they're building something and designing something, and then there's like this 1 or 2 weeks where they're all here helping each other learn. So these clubs are and these projects and these